Hey guys, so there's been a fair amount of concern lately amongst many of you who've been following me along in the old Jeep project here for a long time, that all this boat distraction stuff was gonna kind of make it where we didn't finish the Jeep. But I think I've mentioned a time or two before how stubborn I am. Well, I am stubborn, and I will be finishing this Jeep project. So it's just not going to be going quite at the pace it was. But last time we talked, I brought you up to speed on where we're at. So today, I'm going to dive in and do a little work. So let me give you just a second and I'll come back and tell you all about it. Okay, well, if you look behind me, the snow shovel has officially been put back in its position, hanging up on the side of the wall. And if all goes well, we will not have to be putting our fingerprints on that thing again for at least 8 months or something like that. So it's finally spring. It's not hot yet. It's warming up though. The snow in the valley is gone. Just drove up in the mountains the other day, and there's still a lot of snow up there waiting to come down. So we're gonna have some major flooding. I think it's already starting to flood here and there. Kind of isolated incident up north on the Weber River. I think down south of Spanish Fork River, one over its banks the other day. Little Cottonwood or Big Cottonwood, one or the other, had a big mudslide the other day. We drove up to Brighton yesterday, and there's still, 8 feet of snow next to those people's houses up there. So a lot of them, well, fair in number, didn't make it through the winter. There's some garages crushed right down to the ground and whatnot. It has been a barnstormer of a winter. But we're back in the garage, back on the Jeep for a little bit. I'm not gonna get a ton done today, but I'm gonna try and get my drive shafts put back in. So what that means, first of all, is I gotta get a few things out of my way. I think I mentioned that we've got the rooftop tent off the truck, and it's on my little appliance dollies and it's rolled underneath there. So I'll pull that out. You'll also see that we became temporary storage for sleeping bags and some other camping paraphernalia that normally would be in the back of the truck. The back of the truck, if I'll be honest with you right now, is loaded with the next load of stuff that needs to go to Seattle, and I will be heading up there again. But for right now, let's work on the Jeep, shall we? Well, I've tried not to hide anything about this project from you guys, and I'm not going to start now. So I'm going to spin you around. This is the top of the tent, and that appears to be an oil drip. And that has been pushed under there. So I got to slide under there, see what's going on. But apparently there's a leak. Dang it, man. I'll tell you, that's so frustrating because everything's got new gaskets. I was super careful. Let me get under there and I'll start seeing if I can figure out where it's coming from before I panic and freak out. But that was not what I wanted to see, I'll tell you. That was not what I wanted to see. All right, guys, we are getting up close and personal now. We are under the Jeep and we are in roughly the area where I seem to have had a little oil drip. Now, it did not come out of the drain plug on the oil pan. It does not appear to have come off of anywhere around the bell housing. And if we look up here around the oil pan, it might be, there might be a little tiny spot right on the very bottom of that oil pan where it goes under that main bearing, but I'm not sure. There's our new starter. I don't see anything around there. Do you see it? I don't see it. Throughout this project, I have been a wealth of advice and good information on how not to screw up. Some of you have been following me along, and I know that as you're looking at and watching me do this, you're like, boy, that guy is making all the mistakes, so I don't have to. Here's the downside to having a CJ5 out in the Jeep graveyard and a CJ7 in here getting worked on. 2 front drive shafts. And I had this one all prepped and ready to go. I grabbed this one and put new U-joints in it not too long ago. This is the drive shaft out of the CJ7. This one is a drive shaft out of the CJ5. It's a little shorter, and that matters. So, dang the bad luck. I was a dumb, and I did it. I'm just looking over here at the shelf, and I don't think I have any new drive or U-joints. So I may be faced with the prospect of pulling these back out because if you watch the CJ7 project as we cruised along, you know, that thing is kind of a nightmare. And the CJ5 is not. It's got, you know, it's had a fair amount of work on it, and it's a lot, but it's not a nightmare like that CJ7 was. CJ7, tub was shot, frame was all dorked up. Yeah, it was a mess. And I'm not sure I'm going to live long enough to get that one done. So probably the logical thing to do would be to pull these U-joints out, put them in here, and then put this one in place. So I think I'll look at the rear drive shaft first, see about getting that in there. And then, yeah. So I don't know, you probably won't have that problem because you're smarter than me and you won't be starting into 2 Jeep rebuilds at the same time. But if you are, just be careful you don't mix the parts up. I mean, there's not that many parts that could have been mixed up, but these were. So, which is cool anyway, because the CJ5 drive shaft is thick. The CJ7 one's not. So yeah, we got the big beefy one going in there. But boy, do I feel like an idiot. Okay, well, I got one of the U-joints swapped out. The other one is kind of jammed up in that other drive shaft, which is over there now. So I'll buy one more U-joint. The weird thing is, as I'm looking at this drive shaft, so I expected these yokes to be lined up with each other. That one's up and down, straight up and down. This one's at a pretty big angle. So I know, you know, as you're hooking these things together, you're supposed to make sure that your yokes are in sequence with each other, lined up properly when you're putting it in. That one's obviously going to be off a bit. Now, it's been that way forever. So if it was a problem, it's always been a problem. Somebody out there who's watching this probably knows how much I either need to worry about that or not. And either way, let me know, because by the time this will probably be posted for a bit before I get back to this. So you'll be able to help me out. If I need to worry about it, let me know. Now, let me spin you around again. If I do need to worry about it, I would expect what we're going to have to do, I'll just back the vise off here for a second, is I would imagine that you could take this sleeve here and unscrew it. That's what's probably holding our collapsible part here onto the splines. And we could kind of key that thing a little bit, or clock it, or whatever you want to call it, and get these yokes lined up with each other. So again, let's look down the thing. You can see how much we're off. So here we got this end at a 15-20 degree angle, and that one's straight up and down as far as we're looking at it there. So you can see that okay. Let's see if I can get you. So straight up and down, 15 degree angle. Do I need to worry about that? I mean, again, it's the front drive shaft. So I guess the argument could be made that it's not as vital, because with locking hubs, your hubs are going to be unlocked most of the time. When they're locked, you're not at highway speeds, you're four-wheeling. So maybe it's not that big a deal. Now, on the back differential, or the back drive shaft, they are perfectly in alignment. So I'm not worried about that. I don't know if I need to be worried about this one. So probably just going to go ahead and leave it, unless there's a drive shaft expert out there and you explain to me how big of a concern that is. Again, remember, it's the front drive shaft. I have manually locking hubs, so they'll be unlocked 99% of the time. And when they're locked, we'll most likely be in 4 low, because most of the four-wheeling we do around here is kind of that crawling stuff. So probably not a problem, but if I'm wrong, let me know. Okay, the day got away from me. I had to go do a couple things. I'm going to wrap this one up and put it in the can. I am so embarrassed about doing the wrong drive shaft. I can't even tell you how silly I feel. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, wait a second, how did that happen? But anyway, whatever, it did. And the other thing I'm totally befuddled about is that little oil drip. I feel like where it's coming from is on the round dipped part of the oil pan where we go around the main bearings. There's kind of that round part of the pan, and there's a little rubber seal that goes in there. The rest of it's your kind of your cork gasket around the edge of the oil pan. But those rounded parts is kind of a fitted round piece that has to fit in a little divot in the oil pan. Maybe I didn't get a good fit on that, and I didn't know it at the time. So I have pushed everything back under there. I'm going to put a paper towel down, probably a couple of them, on top of the tent to catch any further drips, and to hopefully help me see, before I pull the tent out again, I'll be looking for, okay, where exactly is that thing dripping from? And hopefully that will help me get kind of a handle on it and see what we got to do. Good Lord, one step forward, half a step back. That seems like that's been the theme of this, and it's a little frustrating at times. I'll be honest with you, it's a little frustrating. I want to go four-wheeling this thing. I want to go to Moab, and this project's getting a little long in the tooth here. So, I am trying to keep my enthusiasm up, but you know, when you get all that engine put together and you're feeling really good about the thing, and then before you even turn it over, I mean, I have not even spun the crankshaft in the thing. So that drip is coming out when the oil's cold and there's no crankcase pressure. The longer I think about it, the worse it gets. I'm going to stop thinking about it and go to something else. So thanks for watching, guys. Stick with me. I promise we will get this thing wrapped up at some point here. But I mean, the next time you see me, I think it'll be warm enough that we'll be able to get back on the painting thing. And as frustrated as I've been with these drive shafts, maybe it's time to get paint on this thing and make it look really good so that I'll feel better about it and to keep my enthusiasm for the project up there. So I'll catch you next time around. Again, thanks for watching.